Welcome to this episode of Your Property Business, the video podcasts that help you get the most out of your own property business.
More about him. Hi, Tristan.
Hello.
You all right?
Hey, Chris. Thanks for having me.
You are welcome. Thanks for coming on. So, it does feel rather like half an hour is not going to be long enough, but I think we can whet people's appetites sufficiently. And obviously, on the scroll at the bottom, there's your details if people want to get in touch, quiz you more about what you do, how you do it, and all this kind of stuff. So, thanks for coming, Tristan. My first question is just if you can set the scene a bit, if that's okay. How have you got here? In your elevator pitch, what has brought you to this point? If you talk me through the sort of the series of events that led you here, that would be fantastic.
So, as Chris, you know, I can talk forever about anything. So to try and keep that to a tiny little bit, it's going to take a little bit of effort.
Yeah.
So to give you an idea, I started off with as a water ski instructor, met a great chap. But everyone who came on holiday, they always used to work in property, or they were a landlord, or they did kind of done quite a lot of business and managed to do quite well for themselves. And I was chatting, and there's a chap called Alex, really still quite a good friend of mine, and he'd come out on holiday, and we got on like a house on fire. And the next thing I know, I was doing leaflets for him, popping around his properties in Southampton and trying to persuade him to the beautiful place of Portsmouth for investment. So a few years down the line, he dragged me in, and I ended up working for him and started as a marketing manager and then the investment manager. And along the way, you start seeing other people and other landlords who've done just about all right for themselves. And I started thinking, there might be something in this.
Yeah.
And he kept on nagging. And I say nagging politely, but he kept saying, when are you going to buy a property? When are you going to buy a property? And it's really hard when you've got someone who keeps saying, when are you going to buy a property, not to do it. So in probably about 2014, I picked up my first property in Southampton. Then just after I moved up to London, bought another place over in Portsmouth. And then from there, I then started working for a rent-to-rent operator. And we took them from 6 houses to 28 in the space of 12 months. And it was just at the point in time when most people didn't quite really know what rent-to-rent was. So we were telling everyone it was a corporate let, and we were going to be taking on as our own tenant. And that kind of worked really quite well, and we grew that out quite quickly. And then from there, I then moved to a ground rent investor. And what we were doing was doing a lot of direct-to-vendor marketing. And the whole idea was we're trying to find properties that weren't on the market for sale, and how on earth we can get in touch with them to find people who might want to sell a property. So we kind of started using those. As we're doing it, we're using all kind of creative property investment strategies. So we would do an exchange with a delayed completion, and in doing so, we could then back-to-back, so you could basically sell a property that you didn't own to someone else. And we would use options to lock other buyers out. And we're doing a lot of trading as well. So we're buying stuff at below market value and then putting it straight into auction. And this kind of all got my brain whirring and thinking, well, there's got to be something else to this. I've gone off and bought properties in Southampton and Portsmouth, kind of like the traditional buy-to-let route. You put your deposit down, you wait a few years, it's gone up in value, we'll go buy another. And then I sat there and realised, come on, there's something else to it. And to be fair, Chris, that's where I started going to PIN events when I was in London. And I went to PIN in Clapham a couple of times, went to a few of the progressive events, and popped off to a few of the central London events as well, one which I was just presenting at yesterday. And from there, you kind of sat there and thought, well, okay, other people can make this work. And I picked up the book Property Magic and thought, well, there's something a little magic going on. There's something going on in the background here. And what can we do and how can we utilize that to then go from working from someone else to working for yourself and having the pleasure of being stressed and, and choosing your own holidays and when you want to relax and, getting tenants could try and call you to sort stuff out when you've got someone to look after the property. But hey, there you go. That's a little bit of a taster and probably more than you wanted.
No, that's absolutely perfect. I'm just trying to keep up with that. So it was Alex, so like a pretty influential fella. And was that Alex throughout? Was that a different person with the 6 to 28 houses? Was that someone different?
So Alex, when I was in Southampton, daftly, I managed to get I describe it as my drink drive certificate. So having tried to negotiate and get a builder down on price, we popped to the pub, and pubs are great places where builders love to go. Got there, we had a lovely 2 pints, and then it had one too many. And needless to say, I ended up cycling around to all the projects on my bike. And when it came to letting season, I said to Alex, I don't think you've got a tandem bike long enough for me to be able to do student viewing. So do you have anything else we can do? And just at that time, he was just starting living London and we were doing stuff all in Putney, Clapham, Balham, Fulham. And then I kind of swapped and moved up there. And London was great fun doing it, but you can just jump on
the train. And that was with Alex?
Yeah, and that was still with Alex.
Okay, fantastic. So the observations I got from that, the two things that kind of resonate with me a little bit is that if you put yourself in the circle, it sounds like you put yourself in amongst people, or in this case, Alex. And I think you get taken along for the ride. And I've had examples of that. Put yourself in a circle, deliberately or not, you just end up doing what they do. So put yourself in the right circle would be one of my observations there. And it seems like you've got educated kind of by experience. You've just gone out there and done it. Read books and educate along the way, but largely just get stuck in. It seems to be one of the mottos that you work by, which works really well.
But for other people, lots of people learn differently. But one of the main bits I've done, and we were chatting about it, we've chatted about it before, but how I've done a whole load of content on YouTube. But it's actually, I've gone on there and it's like, well, what don't I know? What can I find out? And there's so much information out there now. And I was looking originally, I was thinking, well, what I'd like to do is flip properties. And then as I can flip them, I can generate pots of cash to then put into my own stuff. And I found this lady called Susanna Cole. And actually, one of the bits was when I moved to London, she'd had a training course all online that I downloaded to my phone. And every time you're commuting anywhere, you could just plug in and listen to her weekend training courses.
Yeah.
And that just really filled in those little gaps that I had picked up along the way.